Nice of YouTube to invite us over for a Let's Play, eh, Noah?
I hope they made lots of spaghetti.
Man, I bet you guys never thought that this would be a sort of game that we'd be featuring on this channel. Mostly because who the hell wants to play the Zelda CDI games?
Apparently
Who wouldn't
you.
want to play the Zelda CDI games?
Yeah, see, here's the thing. The reason we're playing this now is because I've never played these games before because the CDI emulation is notoriously terrible. But as of a couple months ago, a hero named Dopley has put together remasters of the games that just makes them better. And you bet your ass as soon as I heard that, I'm like, I must play these.
And don't you feel better about yourself now?
Yeah. It's amazing how much things have changed. 15 years ago, people were looking at these cutscenes and being like, oh, this is terrible. These are the worst Zelda games ever made. And here in 2021, it's like, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's the power of people making YouTube poops on YouTube.com.
I wish when
Where
they made
there's
the
smoke, they pinch back.
I wish when they did the animated parts in Monty Python and the Holy Grail that it looked like this. I don't know why I thought of that, but
I thought the intro looked familiar of a Zelda game that starts on them sailing on a boat. Link's journey wasn't going so well.
oh, nice music.
Yeah, it's one of like a few things people can agree are good in these games. That and the painted backgrounds.
Yeah.
They do look pretty nice in HD.
They do look
The only
nice.
problem is that it's hard to tell what you can and can't interact with.
Yes, it is 100% they painted the backgrounds first and then made programmed level design around it. Okay, so just to explain this thing, for whatever reason, this game loves like the color green for the cloaks they use, and it's the exact shade of green that you would see on a green screen. So anytime it showed up, I had to green screen something in there.
Of course.
Good.
So the two main Zelda CDI games are 2D platformers. These subtitles are great.
Yeah. Oh my god, this is very menacing.
Yeah, I refuse to believe that is not a villain. Maybe in another story.
Well, she's got the
Honestly,
same freaky eyes going on as like Ka from Jungle Book. I thought she was gonna hypnotize you.
Most of these NPCs look like they could just be villains.
Who is this?
That's Impa. I'm not exactly sure how to describe her role, but she is a pretty standard Zelda character.
I really like the look of
actually,
these dinosaur people.
I actually did want to bring something up about Impa in this game. At the beginning of the game, the king says that he'll take the Triforce of Courage. Impa's the one using the Triforce of Wisdom in this game, instead of the standard Link and Zelda having them. So in the CDI continuity, King Harkinian and Impa are the true heroes of Hyrule.
Okay. I'd watch a game about them.
That's what I think needs to exist. I think there needs to be like a prequel of young Harkinian and Impa doing a standard Zelda adventure.
Honestly, it makes sense because King Harkinian is like unironically the best king in the series.
I mean, obviously, Wind Waker's my favorite game. I'm always going to have a soft spot for the King of Red Lions, but you can never deny the raw appeal of Harkinian. I was going to say raw sex appeal. I've decided not to because it would have sounded a little weird, but it's also not 100% wrong.
I mean, who can resist that beard?
So anyway, the various things that you'd see in this remaster that make it a far better experience are, first of all, you're playing it on a keyboard instead of every terrible CDI controller. That alone makes a world of difference.
I forget, wasn't the CDI controller, was that the one that was just like a TV remote?
That's the basic one. It's like a wireless TV remote with an extremely slippery analog stick. There is also a standard, more game controller that's still not great, but it's more functional. The problem with it is it has 3 buttons, but this game only uses 2. The remaster also fixes that by moving menu and use item to different buttons.
They were the same button before, huh?
Yeah, you had to crouch and hit the use item button to open the menu.
Okay.
And if you were standing in front of a door, you couldn't use an item or open the menu. You'd just go through the door.
Oh.
Continues are extremely forgiving in this game. You die, you just start back on the screen you were on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this looks
originally-
really easy to come back from.
Yeah. Wasn't the original version had limited continues, didn't it?
I legitimately don't know. It's one of those things that at some point I'm gonna have to figure out CDI emulation because I got to try out the original versions of these
Dear.
and play the other classic CDI games that do not have remasters at this point.
The frame rate of the game is also so much better.
Yeah, it's way faster.
Wow, Willy Wonka's really let himself go.
Sorry, Zelda. Not enough ruby.
I'm surprised that this shopkeep never became a meme, unlike the other shopkeep in the other game. Gotta play coy about it because we haven't recorded that one yet.
So the currency is
So anyway,
rubies in this one, huh?
Yeah, and in fact, that's technically the explanation as to why they were different colors for different values than you'd see in a standard Zelda game. But remastered mode in this version puts them all back to the normal colors. So green is 1, blue is 5, red is 20.
Oh, I didn't know they were different values originally.
Are those?
So anyway, we've basically just been getting money early on to buy all of the essential things. Now that we've got the lantern, we can start going into dark areas, and that'll open us up to the first bits of exploration.
Oh, the Mothman is here.
And there he goes.
Easy.
You also don't have to stab items to pick them up in this version.
I've never played a Zelda game. Are these like traditional? I don't know.
I mean, these are moblins.
I mean, they look like
That's
bulldogs,
normal.
so I don't know.
There's definitely a couple enemies, but the rest I honestly can't say whether they are different people or I just don't know every enemy in Zelda.
Who the hell cuts an egg open like that?
And she just gave us a flute.
Thanks. You should have given me some of your omelet.
So one of the things about Wand of Gamelon, to compare the quality of both games, because obviously there's just such a huge difference in how good they are, Wand of Gamelon has a weird issue that Faces of Evil doesn't, where a lot of the items in this game are just kind of useless. Like the flute we just picked up, if you use it, it freezes all enemies on screen. You don't have to use it at any point, and I really don't. I literally just went to get it because it was on my way, and these are 100% runs. Meanwhile, a sword is just laying around in this person's house.
Well, it looks like he's already been robbed. His shit is everywhere. I don't know why anyone would leave a sword.
This sword gives us the ability to fire beams when you're at full health, standard Zelda stuff. Don't get used to it. You are almost never at full health in this game.
No.
Anytime you get restored to full health anytime you go to a new screen, but then some enemy's gonna fly down from the top, barely clip you, and now you're done for.
For the dead shall rise, and the living shall be their slaves.
So a lot of people don't know this. This Gibdo playing the organ was the inspiration for Ganondorf playing the organ in Ocarina of Time.
Wow. The resemblance is uncanny.
Are these skeletons dual wielding? Oh, they are.
I
Oh,
guess.
Cool.
So here, we've come to our first boss. The boss in this game are extremely tricky in that you have to know what to throw at him, and then it's done.
Sounds of disintegration.
Because the people who need that sort of closed captioning know what that sounds like.
I'm glad we got to see you fire a beam.
Sometimes you get kind of lucky that you can take care of more dangerous enemies from a distance before they have a chance to reach you.
Nice jump over the Goma pit. Here, have a drink.
Her shirt is also that weird green.
Hey, there's a fisherman trapped in the fish head. Really?
I'm going to be honest, first time playing this game, I was almost 100% convinced that this was a trap. Just because she says it, oh, there's someone trapped in there, and Zelda immediately goes to rescue him. I'm like, oh, it's a trap, of course. Now that there, I will take a bit of responsibility for. It wasn't until I was playing this for the recording, which is like my 6th time playing this game, that I realized, oh, I don't have to throw a bunch of bombs at that rock. I can get the power glove before I come here.
That was an extremely off-putting fisherman.
If we're gonna make notes about which characters in these games are off-putting, we're gonna be here all day.
Okay, you know what? Fair.
It's honestly easier to say who isn't. And, it's probably just Zelda and Harkinian that aren't.
I guess Link doesn't look that bad. His personality is weird, though.
Yeah, he gets drawn pretty weird in Faces of Evil.
Okay.
Yeah,
Which one?
Aren't you a mite puny to go up against Ganon?
The characters are
I'll
like
do all right.
pretty
That's the
much based on their like
Bring some
cartoon
hand of
versions.
spore if you want a bit more punch.
Yeah, there's almost like a theory that the game was meant to be based on the Zelda cartoon because Zelda's in more of an action role, Link is obsessed with getting a kiss, the king is named Harkinian. Though I personally think if it was meant to be based on the cartoon, there would have been at least one excuse me princess.
God, I can just hear that echoing in my mind.
I somehow never found a place to edit that in. There's not really any point for me trying to fill a lull in conversation with talking about where we are, because it's really changing at the minute. This game is very fast.
That looks like a racial stereotype, but I don't know for what race. Oh my god, they all look so bad!
Honestly, I think the worst part of the animation, aside from just sort of the basic character designs, is there's too many frames of animation. They move too much.
Yeah.
There's way too much. It's way too smooth. There's like no real timing to their movements.
So that was probably the only time I've ever died to these fairies, because you can kill them all in one hit.
How much do we think the voice actors got paid for this? Minimum wage? Less than minimum wage?
Here's a life heart.
I actually, at some point, I checked into Link's voice actor, Jeffrey Rath, because I'm like, has he done other things? According to his IMDb page, no.
Oh.
He is credited for Faces of Evil, Wand of Gamelon, and a YouTube poop.
I didn't know you could list
I
those
don't
on
know if
IMDb.
I don't know if the YouTube poop credit is like archive audio, because you think if that's the case there'd be a lot more, or if someone got him to reprise his role.
I would like to think that someone convinced him to reprise his role for a YouTube poop.
I mean,
Yeah,
it
like
doesn't.
20 years after he just stopped acting.
Yeah, well, it doesn't sound like there's anything else going on.
The Hotel Mario voice actors, though, are actual legitimate voice actors.
Are they?
Yeah, at the very least, I know Mario's voice appears in an episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Here, a power glove. Great.
It's so bad. It's the sort of thing that would be easy to make a joke about, like, oh, the power gloves in this game, except for the fact it's not an uncommon Zelda item. It's also in Link to the Past, I believe.
It's in most top-down Zelda games, I think.
I think it's also in Chrono Trigger.
I believe so. It sounds familiar.
This game's better, though.
Chrono Trigger's got nothing on Wand of Gamelon.
You see, Chrono Trigger made the mistake when they had animated cutscenes, they made them good. That was its problem.
Do you think anyone ever submitted any of these characters to be in Smash?
Oh, that, like, poll they did a couple years ago to suggest characters. I'm sure there were at least a couple CDI.
Didn't you submit Wedge Antilles?
Yes.
On the grounds
I
of
did.
it's not any more stupid than the other suggestions you're getting.
Yeah.
My favorite was somebody suggesting John Freeman, Gordon Freeman's brother. And then in the how come you think this
John
should be in the
Freeman.
game, they just copy and pasted the whole story.
Oh, good. There. Now you can see.
That's really how you
give
make
a monster a
clothing.
good
You just
shot
drop
before
some
he
sparkles
sees
on it.
you.
It's done.
Yeah, looks great.
This is another item that sounds like it could be useful in that you put it on, you're invisible and I think temporarily invincible. At the very least, enemies won't chase you. Again, I don't use it. I don't need to. I'm a god at this game.